A love like ours was never supposed to happen, yet it did. The night Manila held its breath under a humid sky, she stood by the airport glass, fingers trembling as planes lifted dreams into the dark. She whispered Pangako Sa'yo, like a prayer she wasn't sure God would keep. Love doesn't always arrive gently. Sometimes it crashes into your life like a storm you never saw coming. This is the story of a Filipino woman and an American man who found each other between departures and arrivals, between cultures and choices, and between promises that felt too heavy to carry. It is a love that burned brightly, even as the world quietly decided it was never meant to last. Maya grew up in a small coastal town in Batangas, where mornings smelled of coffee and salt water, and dreams were often folded neatly to fit inside family expectations. She was the eldest daughter, the reliable one, the one who learned early that love meant sacrifice. Her laughter was warm but guarded, her heart already trained to endure goodbyes. She worked as a hotel front desk supervisor in Manila, greeting strangers with practiced smiles, never imagining that one of those strangers would one day rearrange her entire life. To Maya, love was something practical, something safe, until it wasn't. Ethan arrived in the Philippines with a suitcase full of plans and a heart still bruised from a divorce that left him questioning everything he believed about forever. He was an American engineer assigned to a renewable energy project, drawn by purpose rather than romance. The Philippines was supposed to be temporary, 1 year, maybe 2. He told himself he wasn't looking for anything complicated, especially not love. Yet from the moment he heard Maya say, "Good evening, sir," with that gentle firmness in her voice, something unfamiliar stirred inside him, something dangerously hopeful. Their first conversations were ordinary about traffic, the heat, the best places to eat, but there was an ease between them that felt like exhaling after holding your breath too long. Ethan admired how Maya listened with her whole presence, how her eyes softened when she spoke about her family. Maya, in turn, noticed how Ethan never talked down to her, how he asked questions as if her answers mattered. In a city that moved too fast, they found stillness in each other, unaware that stillness could be just as terrifying as chaos. What began as polite exchanges slowly became coffee after work, then late-night walks where the city lights reflected dreams they hadn't dared to speak. Maya shared stories of growing up with little, but learning to give much. Ethan spoke of America, of wide highways and lonely apartments, of loving someone once and losing her to silence. Somewhere between laughter and confession, they crossed a line neither of them had named. Love crept in quietly, the way dawn slips into night, undeniable once you finally notice it's there. Maya knew the risks long before Ethan did. She had seen friends fall in love with foreigners, only to be left behind with memories and unanswered messages. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind, reminding her that love without certainty could ruin a woman's future. But Ethan wasn't a fantasy. He was present, consistent, kind. He learned Tagalog phrases just to make her laugh, stumbling over words but never over effort. When he held her hand, Maya felt seen in a way that terrified her more than loneliness ever had. Ethan, on the other hand, fell hard, and without strategy. He admired Maya's strength, mistaking it for invincibility. He imagined a future where borders didn't matter, where love could simply choose its place. He spoke of possibilities, of bringing her to the States, of building a life together, but his words floated without roots. Maya listened, smiling, even as her heart whispered doubts. Promises sounded beautiful, but promises had broken her family before. Still, she let herself believe just a little because loving Ethan felt like finally choosing herself. Their love unfolded in stolen moments, jeepney rides filled with shared silence, beach trips where the horizon felt endless, and nights where they talked about everything and nothing until the sun threatened to rise. In those moments, the world felt kind, but reality has a way of knocking loudly. Ethan's project neared completion, and the unspoken countdown began. Every "see you tomorrow" carried the weight of a future neither of them fully understood. Love, they learned, becomes heavier when time starts running out. Maya's family noticed the change in her, how she smiled more, how her eyes searched the horizon. When she finally told them about Ethan, the room filled with careful concern. Her mother asked practical questions about visas and permanence. Her father remained quiet, his silence heavier than disapproval. They had raised her to survive, not to gamble. Maya defended Ethan softly, yet a part of her wondered if she was defending her own longing more than the man she loved. Ethan tried to understand the weight Maya carried, but some things couldn't be translated. In his world, love was a choice between two people. In hers, it involved families, expectations, and sacrifice. When he suggested she could just come with him, Maya felt a quiet sting. Leaving wasn't simple. It meant abandoning the people who depended on her. Their first real argument wasn't loud. It was full of pauses, of words carefully chosen to avoid hurting each other, yet somehow hurting anyway. As the months slipped by, love grew deeper and more complicated. Ethan extended his stay, hoping time would solve what courage had not. Maya appreciated the effort, but feared the inevitability. She began to notice the differences they once ignored, the way he saw independence as freedom, while she saw it as something earned through responsibility. Still, at night, when his arms wrapped around her, all the differences faded. Love has a way of convincing you that feeling is enough, even when logic disagrees. The breaking point arrived quietly, disguised as a job offer. Ethan was offered a promotion back in the United States, a chance to start fresh professionally and emotionally. He shared the news with excitement mixed with fear, expecting Maya to celebrate with him. Instead, she went silent. In that silence lived every unanswered question, every sacrifice she hadn't voiced. She loved him deeply, but love, she knew, should not demand the erasure of oneself. They spent their final weeks pretending nothing was changing, clinging to routines as if habit could freeze time. But goodbyes have a way of seeping into everything. Each laugh felt fragile. Each touch lingered longer. Maya began memorizing Ethan's face, the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled, the warmth of his presence. Ethan, sensing her withdrawal, promised again that they would find a way. This time, his words sounded like hope and desperation tangled together. On their last night together, the city buzzed around them, unaware of the ending unfolding quietly in a small apartment. They talked about the first day they met, about the what-ifs that haunted them. Maya finally spoke the truth she had been holding back, that loving him had been the bravest thing she'd ever done, but also the most painful. Ethan listened, realizing too late that love alone could not bridge every distance. Tears fell without drama, heavy with understanding. The airport goodbye was everything they feared and more. Ethan held Maya as if letting go might erase her existence. She pressed her forehead against his chest, breathing him in like a final prayer. "Pangako Sa'yo," he whispered, promising to come back, to fight for them. Maya nodded, smiling through tears, knowing some promises are meant to comfort, not to last. As he walked away, she felt both emptied and full, broken by love, yet grateful to have known it. Life moved on, as it always does. Maya returned to her routines, but she was not the same woman who had fallen in love without a map. She carried Ethan with her in quiet ways, in songs that reminded her of road trips, in sunsets that looked like the ones they shared. She learned that love could end without being a failure. Sometimes, love arrives not to stay, but to teach you who you are capable of becoming. Ethan struggled back in the States, haunted by the absence Maya left behind. Success felt hollow, without someone to share it with. He dated, tried to move forward, but every connection felt like a comparison. He realized that loving Maya had changed his understanding of commitment and sacrifice. She had shown him that love wasn't just about desire, it was about responsibility. The distance that separated them became a mirror reflecting the choices he had made. Years passed, softening the edges of pain but never erasing it completely. Maya grew into herself, earning a promotion, supporting her family, building a life rooted in purpose. Sometimes she wondered what might have been, but she no longer lived inside the question. She had learned that choosing herself was not selfish, it was necessary. Love had not abandoned her, it had simply transformed. Their paths crossed again, unexpectedly, years later, through a simple message. Ethan was back in the Philippines, older, calmer, carrying regrets and gratitude in equal measure. They met as different people, shaped by time and distance. The love was still there, quieter but undeniable. Yet they both understood something they hadn't before. Some loves are not meant to be rekindled, only honored. They talked openly, without fear or illusion. Ethan apologized for the promises he couldn't keep. Maya thanked him for loving her sincerely, even if briefly. There was no bitterness, only a deep respect for what they had shared. In that moment, they released each other fully, free from the weight of what if. Love, they realized, doesn't always demand possession. Sometimes it asks for acceptance. As they parted once more, there were no tears this time, only smiles filled with understanding. They had loved deeply, imperfectly, and honestly. That love had shaped them, even if it had not stayed. Maya walked away feeling whole, no longer defined by loss. Ethan watched her go, grateful for a love that taught him how to let go with grace. This is not a story of heartbreak alone, but of growth. A love never meant to last can still be meaningful. A promise whispered in the dark can still light the way forward. Pangako Sa'yo does not always mean forever. It can mean truth, sincerity, and courage in the moment. In another life, perhaps timing would have been kinder, borders less cruel, choices simpler. But in this one, Maya and Ethan learned that love does not need a happy ending to be real. It only needs to be lived fully, even if briefly. Their story lives in quiet places, in airports, in songs, in memories that surface without warning. It reminds us that love can cross oceans, even if it cannot always stay on the same shore. For every Maya who loved bravely, and every Ethan who learned too late, this story stands as proof that love's value is not measured by duration, but by depth. Because some loves are not meant to be kept, they are meant to be felt. And some promises are not meant to last forever. They are meant to change us. This was a love they were never meant to have, yet it was exactly the love they needed. A love that came, taught, and let go. A love we were never meant to have. Pangako Sa'yo.